So today we have some special guests that we like to call our Transformers. They're part of our wellness group that we run here at Family Practice Group, and we're lucky enough to have them come and share their stories about their wellness campaign and how they've changed their lives. But let me tell you a little bit about what we mean when we say wellness group, because some of you that might sound confusing. What wellness group is a group of about 10 or 15 people that come together on our Tuesday nights for 15 class sessions over 20 weeks. And so they're going to share their experiences, but you don't have to be part of our wellness groups to start to make changes.
Well, John, Stacy, Linda, Howard, thanks so much for coming. Stacy,
Yes.
How did you start your wellness path?
I started it with an internet search. Last April, I had a good friend who told me he was taking 6 months off to take care of himself and lose weight, and he left his job to do that. And it led me to thinking I really wanted to make changes in my own life. What actually brought me over was the wellness group, because I read about it on the website and I thought, this is exactly what I need. I need a group of people to work with to support me and that I can support to help get through what I wanted to do, which was lose weight.
What was the very first habit that you guys changed in this path?
Oh, my first one was week one, when we were asked to make just one change, and I said, well, okay, I'm not going to have ice cream more than 3 times a week because I used to eat it 7 times a week. And the day came and I wanted ice cream, and I took it out of the freezer and I had a taste, and I was done. And I didn't have any more ice cream for 4 months. So last year, my first year of my wellness program, I had ice cream about 4 times.
In a year?
In a year.
That's huge.
Now let me ask you, when you had those 4 ice cream, did you enjoy it?
Oh my God, it was heaven. I mean, you know, I don't go for the cheap stuff. I mean, we only get, you know, the highest fat, best stuff there is.
It's the only way to vote.
It's
the only way.
only way to go.
And you survived the other 361 days without ice cream?
Just fine, actually. Yeah, really well.
A big change for me was not eating because it was time to eat, or not having a drink because, let's say, it was Friday evening. What I call occasion consumption. I took your cue to be mindful about what I was doing. So I just became conscious of the behaviors that I had and started to make adjustments. And the first one was not consuming food or alcohol because it was the time, but because of other reasons. Yeah.
My entryway, the first habit was we, and our family, we decided to go 1 vegetarian meal a day and 1 vegetarian day a week. And, you know, just we eat meat, we love it, but that was just our first way into getting better quality and making it sort of consistent, and now we're up to 2 or 3 days a week. You find new things, and then that just makes that Saturday steak that much better. It's kind of like the ice cream.
So are there foods that you all are eating that a few years ago you would have said, ugh, I don't want to eat that food, and now you've acquired a taste for that you never thought you would?
Yeah. For me, it was broccoli and Brussels sprouts, things that my mother had to force me to eat when I was a kid just because she would steam it or boil it. Now we roast it, and the flavor is just incredible. So it's kind of how you prepare the food that makes a big difference.
I guess it turns out spices don't have calories.
The spices don't have calories, and they really amp up the flavor.
Linda, what was one magical food that you found on this journey that you would say everyone should be eating it?
Japanese sweet potatoes.
All right, tell us about a Japanese sweet potato.
Well, they're purple on the outside and they're white on the inside. And actually, the first time I discovered them, I said, wow, these look nice. I'll take them home. And it was Passover, and I had to make my famous tsimis, which is sweet potatoes, carrots, and prunes. So I got out my mother's recipe, and I said, gee, you know, I've heard these are pretty sweet, so maybe I'm not going to add the sugar, and I'm not going to add all the other stuff. After our first few bites, no one could believe how incredible this recipe was.
Great. Any other magical life transformation foods that you found on this journey?
I don't know if I found the transformation food that on this journey as much as the appliance you introduced us to and how to make bananas ice cream, or at least have the consistency of ice cream.
Yeah.
It was the Yonana that I love. That's probably the one thing that it helps my sweet tooth, because that's what I've always had.
for me, it's smoothies. I don't know what it was about smoothies, but I just kind of turned up my nose about it until I tasted one that the two of you made at one of our group sessions, and now I have two favorites. One's a kale smoothie, and the other is one I just started making. It's basically apples and chia pudding and lime juice, and it's just amazing.
Yum.
If I can answer this more from a subtraction. So
Yeah.
I experience the world and cultures through food, and I'm a foodie. So to me, the stranger it is, the more interested I am in trying it. So it's not that something new came through the wellness group experience. It was really, and it was right from the very beginning, eliminating so much sugar.
Yeah.
And to the point where now it's like dessert's a special occasion and it's such a treat, but I have not brought sugar back into our diet. And I don't miss it at all.
The word treat is a funny word in our society. I think when we were growing up, treat meant something you might enjoy once a month or 4 times a year, like your ice cream. And now people talk about treats as a daily activity. What's my treat with lunch, and what's my treat with dinner, and so on. So I think almost redefining the word treat helped some of you. So you all are talking about exceptions and rules, and you've established rules around healthy foods and not really giving yourself a hard time when there's an exception. If it's truly an exception, if you're telling yourself the truth, if you're being truthful with yourself, and it's truly an exception, whatever about the exception, as long as those rules are solid.
And you know what's more amazing about the exception is it's now guilt-free.
Exactly.
I'm so happy when we go out to eat on a special occasion, or there is a special occasion dessert and you have a piece and you really enjoy it, and you don't after the meal say, oh boy, I really shouldn't have done that. It's really wonderful.
It's pretty empowering to feel that way around food. How has your viewpoints around food changed from this?
Well, a big thing that changed for me was one of the first rules in the wellness group, which was we're never allowed to use that 4-letter word that begins with D and ends in T. And that was such a huge shift for me, because I'd been on every diet there was for the past 30 years. And I realized it was that mentality that was doing me in. Oh, I'm going to go on a diet. And then I'd go to a party and there'd be cake, and I'd want to have that, and I'd want to have the ice cream, and I'd have a few M&Ms, and and so it was just this battle back and forth. So once I let go of the idea of being on a diet, and instead of just incorporating everything into my life, but I'm leading a healthy life now. I'm eating well, and sometimes I go out and I'll have a chocolate chip cookie. And but really, the truth is, for me these days, a treat is raspberries. It's really shifted.
That's awesome.
So it sounds like you all have established better habits and routines around food. What would you say is more important in creating those habits? Was it your discipline, or was it the way you established your environment in order to support that?
I'd have to say I think it's both, because I think you could have the most discipline in the world, but if you can't set up an environment that helps you support that discipline, your discipline is going to eventually fail. And so I think you can't look at it one as the other. I mean, for me, the big thing is I went home, I still remember after the first week, and I said to my husband, I said, you either can eat this stuff in the next 2 or 3 days and get rid of it, or we're throwing it out. And it was nice because I had his support. He goes, oh, just throw it out. It was great because then we set up things in my cupboards now are healthy.
I mean, I've been part of the group programs now for over 3 years. And things that I would never be able to pass up, like ice cream. Suzanne likes ice cream, and I'll get what she likes, and it stays in the freezer, and I don't even feel the urge to go and have any of it. And I was a big ice cream lover.
Why do you think that is, Howard? What do you think
My
that
taste
comes
has
from?
changed. I mean, the things that I crave are things which may seem weird. It's like a curried kale salad. I mean, why would I crave that? Well, that's what I crave.
We've made a lot of changes in our kitchen. And actually, in my household, my husband does most of the cooking. And he's really great, and I am so grateful for it. But I really had to step up to the plate, so to speak, and do more of the cooking myself. And really, well, of course, my husband's doing the wellness program now, too. And it's just so much easier because we're not battling anymore about, what we're going to have in the cabinets and what we're going to have in the refrigerator. And so because I become more active in that and supporting him and supporting myself, we've really changed everything about what we have in the house now.
Support was a big part of your conversation, Linda. So I'd love to hear what support has meant to you guys and where it came from. Who are these support people, and how did you get support? Because I think that's the problem a lot of people face, is asking for support. So tell me a little bit about that.
I think support first starts off with the group itself. The best thing, one of the best things about the group is the e-lists that are set up. So we have a group of people who all have the same goals, who are trying to make the same changes in their lifestyle. And so you can go to them through email. And I used to email a lot. And part of my favorite part was actually responding to everyone else's email, because I look at it that there are going to be times when I need someone to either prop me up or cheer for me or whatever, and that's part of what makes me feel better also, is to be able to do that for other people. So, I mean, Linda knows because we were in the same group, but someone were like, oh yeah, you were a cheerleader on the side, which actually helped me because it helped me stay very active and involved. And then I am very fortunate. I have a husband who was behind me 100%. He has never questioned anything that I brought in. He's adopted most of the rules, and that's really beneficial. I mean, I did have that support, so that was also very good.
When I was in my first group in the program, we had a buddy system, and my buddy was Julie. And I was concerned about all of the sharing that I was doing to her. So I wrote her an email and suggested that perhaps I should just kind of tone it down. And what I got back was a real surprise. She said, no, Howard, please, I love to hear what's going on with you. And when I get an email from you about what you're doing, it motivates me, it reminds me what I have to do, on my own scorecard of goals. So we all have these preconceived notions about what support is and what accountability is, but by sharing everything back and forth, it just lifts everybody in the group, in the cohort, to a different level.
Yeah.
How about support outside of group? What has that been like around friends, family?
Sometimes it's like a two-edged sword with family and friends. Wow, you look great. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yes.
Here's a plate of cookies, and that's sometimes the support you're getting. And you can even express to your family. You go home for a holiday. I'm really trying to be good. This is what I'm trying to do. Okay, we'll help you. We'll support you. And then the meal planning just doesn't seem to follow through, and the pushing, food pushing. And so it's a dichotomy that you experience. And so you have to really communicate your needs a lot more clearly. And then once they get it, and it really helps if you have a spouse like I did as well, who can, at least in terms of the day-to-day, really take the journey with you. And then everybody else comes along with it, I think, when they see how committed you finally are. And I love it when I hear from stories of people who said, no, my family was just all on board, but I know my reality was a little bit different than that.
So it sounds like all four of you, Carrie started off by calling you the Transformers, and you've had so much success, but I'm sure it wasn't all easy. I'm sure you had perhaps some expected or perhaps some unexpected challenges along the way. Can you share some of your challenges and maybe how you might have overcome those challenges?
Well, I had a sort of a challenge about a year ago. Suzanne needed a surgery, and she was in the hospital for almost 10 days. And the challenge was, how was I going to continue my exercise and activity, because I wanted to be with her every waking hour. And what I found was hospitals have big long corridors and they have stairs, and I just decided to use those facilities to get my steps in. And I wouldn't say that I had any up or down, but it allowed me to maintain my behavior. But more importantly, it made me feel that I had the creative ability to take a challenge like that and adapt to it.
I mean, that is the hardest part, is life happens around you.
Right.
And I don't know, I know for a lot of us, food is always a way to deal with hard times or deal with stress or deal with I mean, I used food for celebrations when I was upset. I mean, it was for everything. And it is to have in place certain habits already. When I had, my mother-in-law suffered a stroke in December when we were down visiting them, and it was very hard because it took a while for them to figure out what was going on. And I was at the cafeteria, and yes, they had a salad bar, but what I really wanted was, you know, a cookie. And it was the whole thought process of, no, just you have your habits that you have. And I got to talk to my parents a little bit, which helped. I talked to my brother-in-law. I mean, there were people I could talk to, and I sent an email, and I had lots of people from the group who responded as well.
Tell us a little bit about how you eat and the process of eating and how that's changed.
Well, when we did the week on mindful eating, it made me realize that everyone in my family was like, number one, the Clean Plate Club, and just shoveling food in. I mean, we never chatted at the dinner table in my family. And so I decided that for me, the best thing I could do would be to start out by taking 3 deep breaths before I start eating. And it really slowed me down.
Tell me your strategy when you go to a party. You guys mentioned parties a little bit.
Well, first of all, I will eat something before I go, so I don't wind up at the party hungry and wanting to grab everything in sight. The second thing is, if it's a buffet and there's a salad, I'll eat some salad first, and then I'm just not tempted by other things.
John, how are you going to stay motivated in this process?
All I have to do is look at my little baby. That's all I have to do to stay motivated.
I want to thank our Transformers today. Your stories were amazing, and hopefully you've inspired a lot of our viewers to take this journey with us on this wellness campaign.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you
for,
for having us
so much.
having
And creating
us
the wellness
creating
group.
this for
Yes,
us.
thank you for creating a real miracle.
Keep thinking about your own wellness path and keep joining us as we continue to talk about helpful strategies to do so.